Beckman Unleashed podcast number 35.
We are live.
We're actually not live.
We are
So
not live.
people in the comments go, "Oh, I missed your live. I missed it again." And they keep commenting, "I missed it again."
Yeah, we are live. You are not live.
Eric says we're live.
But we're not.
We're not live.
And also, it's podcast number 35. Do you have a jersey number for that, like last week?
So I could not think of one on my own for football number 35, but the commenters from last week gave me one, so I cannot claim this as myself. Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare. Anybody from Missouri is going to know who I'm talking about.
I've got one for you.
Oh, did you think of it on your own, or did you see it in the comments?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
I would say
that's
number
what I thought.
35, and it is not football. It is actually baseball.
No one
Ricky
can-
Henderson, bro.
Okay, Ricky
let him
Henderson
slide?
is a stud.
Okay.
Was my favorite player growing up because he was fast.
He had more
which
than
is
one number,
awesome.
too, but that's a whole nother story for a later date.
Oh, but baseball, no one cares about baseball or basketball jerseys. Football numbers are what matters.
Okay. Sorry about
That's
that.
what I think.
Okay.
All right. Christian Okoye is my numbers, and someone in the comments said that to me. That's not on my own. All right, Eric, you have a disclaimer.
Oh, yes. Per some of the negative comments we've received in the past,
Which is very few, by the way, but
we just want to
Go
let
ahead.
people know.
go
So
ahead.
this is a podcast disclaimer. So if you're looking for a no-nonsense dog training tips, please search for one of the more than 500 videos that address your dog training challenges specifically. This podcast discusses sensitive real-world issues that might trigger some viewers. If you're weak, soft, or just a drone, please click off right now. If going down the rabbit holes of conspiracy theories and discussions about mafia movies and things like that annoys you, please don't let the wood door hit you where the good Lord split you. And I
Yeah.
think that is probably good enough. For now.
Yeah. If you're weak, soft, or a drone, yeah, this isn't the place for you. Not that we're like the most hardcore people ever, but
Yeah.
we're like, this isn't the place.
Yeah. And if you want to drone on in the comments section, you're still more than welcome to. We
Sure.
know the complaints never stop. I actually was listening to your top video. What was the biggest one? The hound video. And I mean,
8 million views.
yeah, 8 million views. The people that have something to say about that is it just never stops.
My God, they cannot get over that there's a muzzle on one of the dogs. It's never ending.
But why?
Or
Do
any
you do that?
video where there's a muzzle and then Prince is like, "Hey, let's be cool," and the dog's like, "No, I'm going to attack you," and Prince is like, "No, you can't attack me." If there's a muzzle on the other dog, in order to stop Prince from getting injured and stop Prince from injuring the other dog, Prince will get much more mad if there's not a muzzle on the
Mhm.
dog, and we will be fighting. Those two dogs will be fighting.
That's funny.
And they hate it. They're like, "Take the muzzle off the dog. It needs to be a fair fight."
I thought you were doing it because you wanted it to be, or you didn't want it to be a fair fight. That's what they say in the comments, at least.
Well, in a way, I don't want it to be a fair fight.
You don't want it to be a fight at all.
Prince didn't start the fight,
I do think it's funny.
and it helps the dog. Here's the thing: the muzzle helps the dog. That's I'm all about helping dogs.
Somebody commented on
That's
that.
all I care about.
They were like, yeah, they were saying, "Oh, yeah, you should take off the muzzle." And then someone was like, "Yeah, that Doberman would kill that dog if the muzzle was off."
Yeah, the Doberman generally in these videos where the dog's muzzled is going to win. Oh, the other thing they'll say is they go, "Why don't you get a Borbal and let Prince be dominant to the Borbal?" Because it's not going to help the Borbal.
Yeah.
Because Prince is going to lose. It doesn't help the Borbal. I
Yeah.
could care. I don't want any dogs to be hurt.
So you have to get more involved when it's a dog like
If
that.
Prince can
'cause
do
he
the
can't do it,
job,
right?
yeah, let Prince do the job. It's the natural way.
Mhm.
If it's not natural out of a muzzle. Yeah, the natural way is a very brutal way to watch. I would do it. I can't post it.
Yeah. Maybe you should get like a tiger as a helper cat.
Yeah, maybe tiger. Yeah, who knows? A helper cat.
Yeah, helper.
I can't get a tiger.
Yeah.
I would get a tiger if I could.
You might probably have to live in Texas to do that.
My dream is to get a tiger. Like that was my whole goal. That's why I went to school. I wanted to work with big cats. That's my thing.
I think
I still might get a tiger or a lion or just some small animals.
I think if you did,
I
I would
haven't
quit
given
my
it
job
up.
and work like as like a
You're not
handler
going to
making.
get paid a lot.
No, well, I mean, I'd get like Beckman podcast money for that, right?
Maybe a little more.
A little more.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's some danger pay.
I wanted, what is it? What was the name of the guy who was the talk of the town?
Tiger King.
Tiger King, yeah.
All right. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Off-Grid Dogs brought up a documentary 2 podcasts ago in the comments. Off-Grid Dogs is a frequent commenter, and he brought up a documentary called Pet Fooled by Gravitas Documentaries.
And I have the actual comment. Off-Grid Dog says the FDA and the USDA are a joke, corrupted by lobbyists in big pet food, parentheses, Mars, Nestle, and Colgate-Palmolive, and they're self-regulated. Watch the documentary Pet Fooled, and this was on our episode number 33.
So we both watched it, and here's my takeaways from Pet Fooled, and I encourage you to go watch it. And here's my first takeaway. This podcast, within 2 days, will have the same number of views as this whole hour-long documentary on something that's pretty bombshell, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's watching it. 7,400 views
Right
8
here.
months ago. 7,000. Who apparently people do not care about this.
No.
Which is kind of interesting to me that they don't.
So Pet Fooled, like a take on pet food.
Yeah. And it basically goes through and says what we said 2 podcasts ago, which we just went off the top of our heads. We talked about how the governing bodies don't actually have no control over what the pet foods do. And then we talked about how the ingredients, or, what is pet chicken byproduct. And they say that in the documentary. They talk about, they talked about the recall in 2007. That's actually a big part of this. And you talked about that on the last one. Nothing in here totally surprised me. So what surprised? So I tried to come up with some solutions, okay, for normal people. And also what I'm going to do with my own dog after seeing this documentary and just kind of talking about it on the podcast 2 podcasts ago, and a way I think people can try to get their dog better food. Sound good?
I guess I'll go along with this.
Okay. So there was 32 comments. We had 600 comments in our last podcast.
What's the 32 comments about?
For the Pet Fooled.
Oh.
I'm just tripping on nobody watching this documentary.
Well, I think part of the problem is that it's probably not supposed to be on YouTube. And so somebody probably uploaded it. But even still.
No, Gravitas Documentaries uploaded it, who I think made it. Or they sold it to Gravitas Documentaries. Yeah. It's on YouTube, which is a free, and you can buy the movie, and maybe, 100,000 people bought it. I don't really know. But it's on YouTube for free, and it's got 7,000 views.
That's right.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I was shocked. I read all the views. Actually, you said 32. I think there was like 24 when I watched it. So.
Well, that's the thing too. I went through them. Half of them are from 2 weeks ago. I think people from our podcast went on there and commented. It's been 8 months. 10 of the comments are from 12 days ago. A third of the comments are from 12 days ago. It's been on there 8 months. So I think they came from our last podcast and went to it.
It's entirely possible.
That's, who knows?
Maybe
all right.
Not.
So here's what I did. We're going to make this short and sweet, and we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do. Remember, I'm big into continuums, right? Okay, so we have a line here. Can you bring up Kona Boy on Instagram? I have a follower, Kona Boy. I would argue the diet you are going to see is the single greatest diet you can feed your dog. I'm not saying you're going to do it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it.
There it is.
All right. The Kona Boy on Instagram, the Kona Boy, constantly go through her channel, if you don't mind. I know it's going to be tough.
I don't mind at all.
Look at this. That's a rabbit ear.
Rabbit
that's a chicken.
ear.
That's a egg. I don't know what everything is. There's salmon or some fish on there in the bottom left. I don't know what everything is. I would argue that's the single best. Go to any other one.
Hey, look at this one. It's got some red.
Look at that one. There. Well, they all have. Yeah, look at. I don't know what it is.
Looks like
there's a couple peaches. There's oysters. There's hair for fiber.
Some type of tails, maybe.
Looks like a tail.
Rabbit
I never know what that purple thing is. It's almost like cranberry sauce. So let's say that's the best. I don't think anyone can argue. Maybe someone's like, peaches.
It says right there. Ground beef, liver, heart, pork loins, ribs, wild salmon,
rabbit hide.
Is a rabbit hide is the purple thing, you think, or no?
No, the hair.
Oh.
Okay.
Anyways.
Quercetin and bromelain. Oh, okay. I would argue that is the single best diet you can feed your dog.
That's heart right there. You can see that heart right there with that
yeah.
white vein going through it.
Heart. I mean, it's the best. Okay. I wish I could say, and I might call and talk to the Kona boy. The dog's name's Kona. I don't know the lady's name. And I might get Prince on this diet. I might not. I might do a version of this diet. We're
so
going to see
cheap.
where this goes. Well, that's what she says. We've talked before, and she says it's not as cheap. It's not as expensive as you think. But we don't have to do
I think
that.
it's real expensive. So
I just think it is. But we don't have to. You don't have to do that. Let's say over here is
that
Kona
Kona Boy?
Boy's diet. That's Kona Boy. And over
at that.
here, oh, look at that.
An
A
egg.
duck head. Look at that. That's
dogs will just crush that.
unbelievable.
Huh?
It's the greatest thing in the world. I mean, whatever's in the bill of the duck is probably.
She must really like her dog.
You think?
Hmm.
You think? So the other side would be Beneful, let's say. Okay, Beneful dog food. Open a bag of Beneful. You're going to get a smell that you've never smelled in your life. You're going to be like, what is that smell? It is unbelievable how odd that food is and what's in that food and the colors of that food. I don't even know if they sell it anymore.
Let's
All
share
right,
this.
so one's over here, Kona Boy. The other's over here, Beneful. 1% of the population probably feeds Beneful. 1% of the population probably feeds like Kona Boy. Maybe even less than that. Way less than
Is
that.
this
probably.
this like multicolor?
Look at it. Just bring it up. You can't smell it over the computer. And anybody
Right
listening, it's just.
You can't smell it over the computer?
No.
What?
It's just strange. And I encourage you to smell it sometime. I've just always known it's the worst. Oh, look, it's 100% complete and balanced for adult dogs. And if you watch Pet Food,
Purina. Look at
you're going to be Purina. You're going to be like, that means nothing. They explain how that 100% complete and balanced for adult dogs, right? It's from a Sam's Club ad, means absolutely nothing. They wordsmith it and there's nothing behind it. And they go through that, which is the interesting part.
It's balanced for profits.
Yeah, maybe that's it. So we're all in the middle of Kona Boy and Beneful. Okay, where do you want to be on that list? Here's what people do. Here's what I did. I go, I'm going to feed an all raw diet, and then I kind of am like, but I don't know if I am. So how about if I go half and half? How about if I go? And they talk about how bad kibble is, but okay, I eat McDonald's sometimes. Actually, I don't, but maybe I eat Taco Bell sometimes. That's okay. I can do that, and I can do that with my dog. So maybe I'm going to go Origin, which got bought by somebody, but it still seems better than the other kibbles. Maybe I'm going to go Origin for one meal. And then at night, I'm going to go a raw, one of those. They send it to you. You put it in your freezer and it's raw food. How about that? How about if everybody tries to do that? Because the only way that this is going to change, and dogs are not dying. My first dog died of bone cancer at 10 years old. Could have been from a lot of things, vaccinations, flea medication, of which I did not give a lot of either. It could have been from the food he eats. It could have been from the water he drinks, which was tap water.
Can I tell you what they thought
on the documentary?
Or what was the name? You might not know the preservative, but whatever preservative it was that was in the dog food that the lady's dog got cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
It was actually bone cancer that she got.
I know. I saw that.
DHA?
No.
It was something. I thought it started with an E. Either way, it was
EPA.
The shelf life on that food was amazing.
30 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
25-year shelf life. So whatever they're putting in there to give it 25-year shelf life, that's pretty impressive.
It's impressive.
We need to just start getting humans to start eating dog food. Right?
Yeah.
We could save a lot of money as a society.
Yeah, we have McDonald's, which is, our version of that. I guess that's what they say. So I think we all try to go somewhere in the middle and try to support these small companies. And then the minute they get bought by these bigger companies, we stop supporting them.
Well, there was a theme in the documentary, which is a theme of pretty much business in general, which is that you have like a small entrepreneurial kind of company, and then they get big, and once they get big and meaningful enough, a
They
private
sell.
equity company will come
Yep.
in and buy them.
And that's when we stop buying them.
Yeah, I mean, you have like foot doctors, like a family member of mine just was a foot doctor, and they sold to a private equity company, and then the private equity company just buys all of the foot doctors, and then they just roll them into like a medical company.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it's good, but then hopefully you can always just go to the new entrepreneurs who are doing whatever they want to do.
Yes.
And so it's just a cycle, a business cycle.
Yeah. So as soon as they sell out, then we stop buying.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do.
So what do you mean by middle of the road, though?
And I have a little bit of a voice with this podcast and with the channel, a bigger voice, where we can maybe make a dent in this thing. I'm not helpless to do anything, and you're not helpless to do anything. And hopefully we can make a small, tiny dent in what these companies are doing. And guess who's in this? The pet food companies are complicit. The stores that sell the products are complicit, and many of the vets are complicit. If complicit is the word. They're all in it.
It's a total kiss
and your dog's dying.
Kiss your endorsement deals goodbye, Joel.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't see much in there that seemed even controversial. I mean, it seemed like they were sticking to the facts. There was no major conspiracy theories. They were talking about the largest players of what was it? Colgate Palmolive, Mars and Nestle.
Yeah.
Not in that order.
Yeah. How about who we were doing some research? How about the pet food company? I think it was Mars. They just bought a bunch of veterinary clinics.
Like, don't they own Banfield or something like that?
They own Banfield and I think VCA. All of a sudden, a Snicker, the people who make Snickers are like, let's get into veterinary clinics. What?
Yeah.
Business. You buy the things that reflect your current products because you can streamline manufacturing and you can do all this. So all of a sudden you're buying vet clinics. I wonder what's going on there.
I think it's like
we're going to sell the food and then we're going to...
I think it's like vertical integration or something. I forgot what it's called, but it could be.
It's all crooked. How about we just wrap our head around that? You got to make that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You got to make the choices for your dog so your dog doesn't die of bone cancer like my dog and the lady's dog in the thing. And you have to make a cost analysis as well. You have to go, but you first have to go, this probably will kill my dog at some point. And then because it probably will in some way.
What did you think about the snacks? They were like some type of chicken jerky where they like thought there was something wrong and they just didn't pull them off the shelves.
Yeah.
That was a bit bizarre.
Yeah. I thought the documentary was pretty good because they never even said what was wrong with the chicken jerky, the chicken snacks. Like they never even found, the documentary couldn't even find it.
Seems like our good friend of the West was China seemed to have sent over the actual product that was essentially they said it was one thing and it was not. And then it basically, because they sent a less expensive ingredient, which obviously makes sense, right? Then that basically contaminated the feed.
The gluten, there's protein in gluten, and it's cheaper than regular protein. Wheat protein, so that they can say 40% protein is done with this wheat gluten or these other forms of gluten, probably soy.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, other forms of protein. Yeah. So they could say high protein, but it's not from meat.
Yeah.
Or not a lot from meat. Yeah, it's all shady.
And why is it not from meat?
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, because meat's expensive.
Yeah, meat's expensive. And even the meat they talked about in this documentary is like, where's that meat from? No one knows. They don't have to disclose.
Well, the byproduct piece was interesting, right? So there's I was looking it up. So there's meal, right? Like chicken meal, beef meal, just meal. And then there's byproduct, right?
Yes, which is all the other stuff.
Yeah, but basically from what it sounds like, all of the traditional cuts that you would think about with meat, with whether it's, round or whatever, though, filet mignon, that type of stuff. Obviously I'm not giving them filet mignon, but that, and then also as well as bone. And then what's the last piece?
Fat?
Pretty much anything, right? But anything more or less inedible kind of goes down the other side, which is
byproduct.
Which is the byproduct.
And most people watching this podcast, most people in society, they're not feeding their dog the worst kibble, but they're going to the store and they're going, well, this blue, wilderness, Call of the Wild, whatever, with the wolf on the cup. Oh, that one looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And they go through it and they're like, it's not good. So here's what I did.
Hmm.
At my facility, we don't have a lot of dogs right now for a variety of reasons. I took a picture of all the food that is there.
And it's not your food, right? It's what the
This is
customer
clients'
brings.
foods. Now you could say my clients are generally going to feed their dog a little better food than society. Maybe that's true. I mean, we don't have
Beneful.
Purina really coming much, but it comes. So here's the first one. Just food for dogs. One dog was eating a frozen just food for dogs, who was in that documentary, I think the CEO of, and they, not in a bad way, just food for dogs. Here's the ingredients. Turkey, whole wheat macaroni, broccoli, zucchini, carrots, turkey, liver, cranberries, and all that. So it sounds pretty good. It's not a raw. It's a cooked, packaged, frozen,
what are your thoughts on that?
Sent to you. I think, remember my middle of the road thing? Kona Boy diet, Beneful. I think it's manageable.
Well,
I don't think you're not going to probably go broke on it. I think it's probably pretty good for your dog. I think it's way better than some kibble. I think it's way worse than the Kona Boys diet. I think it's realistic. We can do this. The podcast can do this.
Well, they were thinking there was a bit of I don't know how to explain it, but like they were challenging the quality of the red or of raw food, like not that documentary, but some of the like health or like vets were trying to challenge it.
Can you imagine?
Like saying, oh, but and they were saying, no, they have the enzymes that can handle this raw food.
Yeah.
But even still, like I'm sure it's not that big of a difference between raw versus
cooked.
I'm sure it's still really good for them, right?
Yeah, it's this thing, right? We're not going to do we're not going to do the Kona Boy diet. She's probably mad at me for saying that. I want to be realistic here. People have cost things. Their freezers are only so big. There's a lot of, they don't even eat that well themselves, right? We're not doing it. I might do it because Prince is a big star. Okay.
Yeah. Legend.
But we're not doing the horrible diet. So how do we find that middle of the road? It might be this slightly cooked, sent to your house in manageable numbers, so you're not filling up your freezer and not having to buy a second freezer. I think that's the middle of the road, and I think that's where they go. Now, we should look up where this company, whatever it's called, Just Food for Dogs, have they sold out yet? And if they have, we're done with them.
Well, the problem
is like if I come on here and I say Purina is our new sponsor, you should be done with this podcast.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll just love us for our
which I'm fine with, because I'll be rolling in dough.
Yeah.
And you guys can go by the wayside.
So I mean, I don't think
I'm gonna have
food
FU
for
money.
dogs is gonna like blow the doors off the marketing skill set. But
maybe with the pod on their side. But go ahead.
So so you were saying middle of the road. Can you explain that to me? What is a middle of the road solution?
It's not a kibble. Like? It's what I just.
But I mean, you've been feeding Prince kibble for
we've been
a long
feeding him
time.
Raw lately. My wife was like, "Hey,
like
let's
real lately, right?
Yeah, real lately,
like
a week ago. Yeah. I fed him Origin for kibble for a long time. Well, it's the best kibble. Okay, I didn't really know how horrible kibble is. So, and I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. I knew a baked thing cooking something takes the nutrients out of it.
Or it can, yeah. And there's also stuff where it's like, I think it's called like, there's an oxidation that happens when it's cooked cooked too high. Like there's levels to cook, just like cooking something at, 130 degrees is different than cooking it at like 500 degrees.
Very different, I would assume. Yeah.
So,
all right, here's the other one. Then someone has
coffee.
Someone has Origin at my place. Okay, great kibble. Someone has that.
They can't see that.
It's just, I don't even know what that is. Some random kibble. Someone has this blue wilderness, and then another one has blue wilderness.
Wow.
2 blue wildernesses, a raw, not good for you. Oh, and then someone has this. Look at that, like cranberries and fresh fruit. Yeah,
like
Brumley. That's Brumley. Shout out to Rocky,
So I'm going to
Rocky's
ask
mom.
you a question. And so this was my main takeaway from that movie.
Yeah.
Documentary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, what is the human equivalent of kibble
Bad kibble or good kibble?
for $500?
Bad or just any kibble? Protein bars.
That was a good one. That wasn't my first thought.
You're thinking Origin kibble, I would argue, is not McDonald's.
Well, remember too, we got Mars and Nestle as the top two 19 billion plus.
Oh, you think a
companies.
Snickers bar or something?
Well, my first thought when I was watching the way they make it is that it's basically like cereal, right? Very similar.
Yeah, probably is.
Dry
actually.
as a bone, needs milk to be added to it, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So the whole documentary really made me just think about how this is really just, I mean, humans are just eating the exact same thing, really. I mean, they're not maybe eating the chicken meal, or not, they're eating the chicken meal, they're not eating the chicken byproduct, right? So it's not that bad, right? They were saying, it sounded like there was, and I'm not saying some of these companies, but they're allowed to use roadkill and other things in.
That's what they're saying.
But I think the biggest problem is it sounds like some of the stuff is that they're feeding is not actually chicken meal, it's chicken byproduct. So
Yeah.
It's the stuff, the nails, the fur, the whatever type of stuff.
Yep.
That seems
terrible. Yeah. We don't know where this stuff is sourced at because they don't have to disclose. I have a problem with the documentary. There's a European guy on there, and I know where this is coming from, who says, well, and this is, I said it in the podcast 2 weeks ago. They go, well, there is no value. The courts have not figured out the value of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? And it was a European guy. You know why it was a European guy? Because this whole movement is coming from Europe. So I would like to deal with the if there's a recall and 100,000 pets die, which is a lot, then they are only responsible for $1 million when people think they should be responsible for $1 billion, these companies or something. But that would be because you put a value on each animal. Now, the problem with the putting a value on the animal is that is the first step to making it, what's the word? Peoplehood, of making animals the same value as people. It is the first step. And you might go, well, that'd be a good thing if these companies had to pay $100 million, not just $5 million. It would be a good thing. It would be a bad thing for society because the animal rights groups would be like, yes, that's the victory we've wanted forever. And now it's a slippery slope. And I'm telling you, it will eventually be where animal rights wants animals to have the exact same rights as you do. That means they would have health care. That means that it's bad, right? If you believe the people are more valuable than animals, you do not want that to happen. If you believe your child is the same as a rat, you do want that to happen. You're also a crazy person who belongs not to be near your child. And you might say, well, my child's more important than that. No, it's not.
They don't think that.
Well, I think they probably do, but they don't think someone else's child would be Animal rights believes animals are the same
as trouble.
People, and it's a problem. And that's a slippery slope if you start saying, the courts start saying, we're going to put suffering and damage. I mean, there's laws that say you cannot hurt an animal.
Yeah.
But there is not the same as a person. In the monetary courts don't see it that way.
Well, so
if that makes sense.
You've heard the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
I have.
So that can kind of get you into an unholy alliance with this type of, European animal rights, maybe maniacs. I don't know, whatever. So what I worry about though, is that I look at it more from like a libertarian perspective, where it's like based on private property rights, and your dog is private property, right? So if somebody does something through fraud or other means that causes harm to your dog,
yes,
they've caused harm to your private property. I know it sounds like a very simple way
That's
of
right.
thinking about it, but they've caused damage to you. So
yeah,
they need to deliver, they need to compensate you for that.
Well, that's how it is now.
If
you bought the dog for $2,000 from a breeder, they have to pay you $2,000.
Yeah, but there's no like life type of calculation the way there is like an economic value to a human life that
I know.
But see, for you, I mean, you could actually say Prince is worth X dollars to me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Prince would be an interesting example.
Because it's not like everyone else that just has their dog hanging around the house. You'd be like, hey,
You
this
think,
is legit
bro,
part
that
of
could
my
be
business.
I wonder if I could, God forbid, right? But I wonder if I could say he's worth $1 million. They could actually put a monetary value on him. I would make X number of dollars from him over the next 6 years.
If he's worth $1 million, then I want to go to business with him instead of you.
Well, I'm looking for a breed. I'm looking to breed him.
Let's get going. We should play
Yeah.
that Let's Get It On song.
Yeah.
Come on, Princey. We need to find somebody on the pod that wants to visit San Diego with a Doberman.
Red
who's
female.
Red female, built like a truck.
She doesn't need to be giant, but she can't be tiny.
Yeah.
We almost had one, but she was too small.
They're too small.
But red female is what we need, and we need
Why
to do
red?
a couple help because the red dobies are the best. It's not even close.
So what happens with the red and the black?
They become of some red puppies, some black puppies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they don't become whatever
Can I
the
have
difference
one of the
between
puppies?
red is. Maybe we can talk
should
about
do,
it.
It'd be great. Think about this. We'll do like an experiment. You'll do
and
your
we'll see who
training,
turns out better.
and I'll do my training. But my training will be 100% informed by only
a normal
Beckman dog
person.
training.
Oh yeah,
Just
you'd
pure
end up,
videos.
You'd end up pretty good dog.
Oh, I think it would be the best dog ever, except for maybe Prince and Bosco.
And then Prince's offspring that I raised. Yeah.
I want to. Yeah, you're right. I want a red one.
Yeah. So
We're cool.
Yeah, what Prince would be worth is that I don't know. I don't know how the court systems are working right now in that regard, because really, what dog can you argue has such a high monetary value? Way more than what he was purchased for.
My biggest issue isn't about like rewarding or like, rewarding the like litigious behavior. It's about the fact that you cause damage. And if you cause damage in a free society or a, functioning capitalistic society, you should still have to pay for the damages that you did for that dog. And there should be some degree of pain and suffering, I would imagine. Pain and suffering, you would think would be a large percentage of it.
You didn't have the pain and suffering. Well, I guess it was, if it was like your kid.
I mean, if your dog, like the way that the dogs apparently had died in that documentary, it seems to me.
No, I don't mean the dog wouldn't be pain and suffering. I mean, you
compensate the owner, though, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it gets confusing. I'm not saying it should be like the same as humans, but the thing is you're still causing damage, and you still make it right.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah, but it should not be the same as humans, because I'm telling society, there's a foundation in society that is a little bit based on the Bible, that we are unique and we are special and we are tasked with overseeing all the animals, or in the Bible they call the beasts, right? The cattle and stuff. Mm-hmm. And once you sort of just go, that doesn't matter anymore. Times have changed. We have new thinking, and we love these animals so much that we're going to go down this slippery slope. Then I think that that's a dangerous thing. We have gotten away from a lot of really good kind of precedents or religious things, and it has, generally speaking, not been great for society. Do you totally disagree with that? I don't think you do. I think you disagree with it.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I just don't agree with using it as a framework, if that makes sense.
In any way.
Like the Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah, not as a framework.
In any way.
No,
in a moralistic way.
No, I think it's a great thing for an individual to think of as a framework. I just don't think it's a great for like the government to think of it in the terms of the biblical framework. Because then what do you do if someone's like, well, but in this version of Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or whatever, then you have to be like, well, which one do we pick? And then of course in America, they're going to pick Christianity, whereas they're going to pick it, and other countries are going to pick something different.
They
You know?
are, and they can do whatever they
It's
want
like
in other countries.
I played chess last night
Yeah,
with someone from
and
Egypt.
and look at the other, yeah, and if you want to go live in that country, if that's the
I don't
framework
want to
you
live in
want,
that.
not
I don't want
you.
to live in that country.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm
You
just
want to live in the
saying,
country that's based on the principles of Judeo-Christian society.
well, here's information, or so I just was thinking about this because I just Googled compensation for killed livestock, right? So as I know there are programs to compensate ranchers for killed livestock. A lot of times
I saw this
when
on
there's,
Yellowstone.
well, yeah, when there's so anytime there's like hunting, or not hunting, but the lack of hunting. So especially with
Right.
things like wolves and what's the other one? The
Can we
cats.
really compare the wolf livestock thing to dogs, or are we just
Well, no, but think about it like in terms of you might not be able to get compensated properly.
what's Colorado doing, by the way?
Oh yeah,
They're just like,
they
hey,
want to reintroduce wolves.
let's put wolves back in. Like I get it. I think wolves are my third favorite animal. They're freaking awesome. We have a voicemail about them. I'm gonna play for you guys. I just don't know why they're releasing wolves in Colorado. Or do they have a moose problem?
No, here's the thing. Is
Like,
so
I like to watch them hunt, but like, what are we doing? Did you think this through? Like,
you like them hunting small animals and potentially children. I mean, it's not a good situation.
yeah, like, I mean, wolves don't really kill people, but I mean,
Have they ever though? Probably.
in Siberia, freaking Siberia, the bears and the wolves, they're like gnarly. I think because it's just so brutal up
Oh,
there.
here it says right here. Actually, it says so LIP, which I imagine is the program. Oh yeah,
Livestock.
Livestock Indemnity Program. Provides benefit to livestock producers for livestock deaths in excess of normal mortality caused by adverse weather or by attacks by animals reintroduced into the wild by the federal government. So
75%. So they're like, we won't give you, they'll give 75% of average fair market value of livestock. How about they give 100%? How about they give a 200% because you had to go out there and remove your dead cow and you had to spend so much time and energy? 75%. That's
yeah,
nonsense.
but what's weird is but also they don't want to create it, make
An
it
incentive program.
incentive to where
I
like
know.
people actually want
I
them
know.
to die.
I
So
know.
there's a challenge there. But so here's the thing with the at all bases. So yeah, they reintroduce wolves. They could reintroduce bears, right?
Just
There's a ton of things they could, but mostly
reintroduce
bears,
grizzly
mountain
bears.
lions, mountain lions, and wolves are probably the three biggest issues. So as as an interested party, I would say I'm against reintroduction of wolves, grizzlies, because I happen to love deer. So I love deer, I love elk, I love moose. So any of these type of animals, if you love deer, don't introduce wolves, don't introduce
Yeah.
mountain lions.
Yeah.
Mountain lions kill deer like it's going out of style. I mean, they live off them.
Yeah.
I mean, they can probably kill a deer every week, probably.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know the exact amount, but
they're
it's
efficient.
yeah. But I mean, the thing is like if you bring in any of these animals, they're awesome animals. I love
They're
wolves,
awesome.
but if you can't bring them in without realizing you are going to smash the deer population when you bring them in.
Yeah, and you're gonna smash a couple kids in with the bears, and you're gonna smash a couple of hikers, and the people. My guess is the people of Oregon, where there are no grizzly bears, all the liberals in Oregon, where I'm from, are not too stoked on grizzly bears being reintroduced to Oregon. But put your money where your mouth is, people. Like they'll probably go like, "Oh, I like the Colorado wolf introduction program." Yeah, because you don't live in Colorado because you're not a rancher.
Yeah.
And you in Oregon, you have the luxury of going on a hike without worrying about anything. Really, a mountain lion probably isn't get you. Wolves are definitely not get you because they're not there. Black bear aren't going to get you. A grizzly bear, you might hike less. And the people in the government who live in Salem, it's nonsense.
Well, that's the issue, right? Is that it's a conflict of interest, and not that this, of course, is not a political conversation, but if you think about when you have voting where the interests are not necessarily aligned, or you like, especially in a rural versus a urban setting, when you have wolves introduced into a rural area, but you let the people that live downtown vote on it. It's like, well, yeah, you don't live next to the wolves. Like we live with them. Our animals live by them. When you introduce wolves into our neighborhood, we don't like it. right?
Yeah.
But then people that are so obviously they're outnumbered by the urban folks.
Yeah, they're outnumbered by the people in Denver.
Yeah, it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
I've always thought this is around property tax, right? It's like they'll have these school bonds and they'll say, hey, property tax is, whatever, 1%. We want to add this little tiny piece extra to do this school thing. And you're like, well, that's great. But it's like, but it only affects property tax, right? So if you don't own property, you basically can get a benefit without having to pay for it.
Yep.
So it's like a little bit of a conflict of interest because
Yep.
you're like, why, if you don't own property, why would you not be for it? It says right here, mountain lions kill large prey species with regularity. Usually one deer-sized animal is killed every 6 to 12 days. So call it 9 days. They kill a deer every 9 days. That's one, right? And if they have a litter, you're gonna have to feed those ones too, right?
Yeah, and wolves probably more. I mean, there's a bunch of wolves in a pack, and they're killing. A wolf is about as big as a mountain lion, oftentimes. And they eat the same amount of food.
You think? I mean, well, yeah.
Wolves are more active. They probably eat more. They burn more energy.
I also like coyotes. I know I'm not supposed to.
No, I like coyotes too. There's just too damn many of them. I like alligators. There's just too damn many of them.
It's hard.
I like boa constrictors.
It's hard to nail down any science that indicates how many deer on average wolf will consume within a year. One study indicated that one adult wolf might consume 27 deer per year. That's a lot to every other week in areas with low moose numbers across the northern Minnesota deer range. This could equate to roughly 80,000 deer lost a year. So it's like, it's fine if we can move them in here. Just know that if you like Bambi, it's going to be killed. And then of course, hunters do not like this because they like to eat the deer and hunt the deer. And if you're putting massive damage in the number of deer, they're probably not going to be pumped on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like the grizzly thing because grizzlies kill people. And if you're a hiker and there's grizzlies around, it changes your thinking a little bit, or if you're a skier or something. And I like I like when people have to deal with sort of what they reap what they sow.
Grizzlies,
right? You want to grizzly bears, yeah.
Oh, barely any news.
Oh, it looks like
Alaska,
there's some
Wyoming,
in Oregon,
Montana,
not
Idaho.
many. My friend told me there's no grizzlies in Oregon.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Oh yeah, doesn't even say Oregon right there. Huh?
One of the first podcasts we talked about that the last grizzly bear in California was killed in.
Oh yeah, and none in California.
It was killed up in northern Escondido, essentially. It's pretty
really
interesting, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, grizzlies and black bears are just so different, huh?
Do you see that video of that grizzly killing the black bear? Just thrashed it.
Did you see
They're
that
just
guy?
Not the same animal.
Did you see that? I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. What was his name? The blonde guy? He looks like Laird Hamilton, but he was...
the grizzly man.
Yeah, but he lived with his wife, and then
she left.
Wait, what?
He lived in the wild, right? The grizzly man. They made a movie about him.
Yeah, but this is the guy that was with his wife, and they were doing a thing on the grizzly, and the grizzly turned and killed him.
Yeah.
You know this guy?
Oh, did she die too?
Yeah, the grizzly ate him.
Oh, I didn't know he killed both of them.
There was there was audio video, or there was audio of it.
Yeah.
But they were friends.
Yeah, sorta.
The grizzly and him were friends.
It's like people are fishing and the grizzlies are cruising around. Like, I mean, you can, but then one day they're gonna get you.
Yeah, it was a wild story.
It's like why I didn't want to work with big cats. I wanted to work with big cats. That was my dream. And I'm like, man, this could be bad.
Timothy Treadwell.
Killer whales too.
Timothy Treadwell. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this brings us to our voicemail. Okay. You ready?
You want to go right into that?
Yeah. I mean, we've beat this dead.
Okay,
horse.
so before with the food thing, can we do like a pledge?
Middle of the road.
Can we do a food pledge?
Yes.
Yeah, you never answered that question. That's fine. We'll cover it later. So no more kibble for Prince?
Yeah.
As of now.
Yeah.
All right. You better get Kona Boy on the horn.
I'm not doing Kona Boy either, though.
How about just desserts?
I should talk to her and try to find some better than middle of the road, right? Everyone else can do middle of the road. I'm going to do a little better, maybe a frozen raw sent to us for simplicity reasons. I have 3 kids. They're in sports. I have a marriage to keep strong, right? All that stuff that goes along with that. I have children. I have a
Yeah.
business. I have a wildly successful podcast. And so we gotta keep the amount of time I'm spending on Prince's food to a somewhat minimum.
What about, I mean, even our own food? I feel
We
overwhelmed
spend a
just
lot of
dealing with our own
we
food.
spend a lot of time on our own food
Yeah.
for our family,
Maybe just feed Prince what
shopping
you're
all the
eating.
time.
One thing you didn't mention, last thing on this food topic, is around the fact that they're basically saying that these dogs should not even really be eating that many carbs in the first place. So,
Yeah.
like, they don't even give it's not normally even corn to begin with or something, but they're basically saying you shouldn't give it corn anyways.
Yeah.
But like at
Or
least
soy.
corn or soy, at least it's
wheat.
actually like a product versus like, who knows, like high fructose corn syrup or some
Oh,
weird
yeah.
thing that
I
they're
don't
putting
think
in there.
there's that much like high fructose in. I mean, it's in there in the bad ones, but like the good ones are like corn. Dude, do you know corn and wheat are just bad for you, let alone a dog
The place we're
or a
going,
wolf.
the place we're going for barbecue tonight, it actually said it's grass-fed beef. It was grass-fed, corn finished. And I'm like, corn finished? That's not good.
No, it's not.
But they put it in there so like most people don't understand that. So they're
Yeah,
just like,
right
throw
before
it
they
in there.
kill the cow, they freaking pump it full of corn.
Yeah. So it's like, but they're trying to make it seem like it's a good thing and they're putting it in their description.
Oh, well, what about this? Eggs. And they're like, I go to this natural place sometimes and they're like, vegetarian fed eggs. That's the only eggs they had.
Vegetarian fed?
Vegetarian fed chicken. You don't want vegetarian fed chickens. Chickens eat
See,
a
like
lot
grubs and
of
stuff, don't they?
bugs.
Yeah.
You want them eating bugs. What is this vegetarian? This is like smokescreen stuff.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I was like, this is a super all natural place. And I think they think like people are going to want this vegetarian fed chickens. No, you want chickens to eat what they eat, then their eggs are going to turn out better for you.
Yeah.
It's like you want the cows eating grass, even though you don't want to eat grass. That's all you want your cow to eat.
Yeah. I think they were talking, they had a term about like biologically appropriate or
Yeah,
something
in
like
that movie.
Essentially, right? You want your animal to eat whatever it eats. Like if it's a fish, you just want it to eat whatever fish eat. You don't
Yeah.
want it to eat like
Soy.
Soy.
You
Just-
could. Fish will probably consume soy.
Yeah, but it's
Actually,
yeah, but it's just like,
'cause
why
there's
would you feed
protein
them
in
weird
soy.
stuff?
Yeah, why? Yeah, it makes no sense.
Just feed them what they eat.
Yeah, bro. But it's expensive to feed what they eat. Okay, ready? I like this question.
Let me see if I'm ready. Let me think about this.
Then you
Okay.
have one to play. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
This
All right,
is
let's go.
Megan.
Let's do it.
She called a couple weeks ago. I forgot to play it.
Hi, Joel. Hi, Eric. It's Megan, the cow whisperer. For 2 seconds, I totally thought you were going to answer. And I was gonna
Cow
freak
whisperer,
out,
that's her
but you
name.
didn't, so that's good. My
Uh-oh.
thing I want you to talk about is pack of wolves versus a pack of lions. Who would win and why? Pros, cons, the specs on it. I think that'd be super fun to hear. Thanks for your podcast and all you do. Bye.
All right,
Wolves
Megan.
versus lions.
Yeah. We pretty much have this already in the hyena. I would say a wolf and a hyena, they're different. They're even a fully different animal, but I can't compare a wolf and a wild dog. One, the wild dog packs are giant. Okay. And a wild dog, is not to me as tough as a wolf. It's faster than a wolf. It's not as tough as a wolf.
But you could do a little mixture to kind of see how they handle bigger game, right?
Yeah, I think it's a hyena versus a lion would be the matchup. And you could just replace wolf with hyena.
Yeah, I mean, don't you agree it would be hard to say that a wolf, like a pack of wolves, would be stronger than a pack of hyenas? I don't feel like they would be. The packs are
It's
strong,
close.
but the packs with hyenas are super strong. I mean, they're massive packs, right?
Yes.
So they have numbers on their side, and they're strong as hell.
Compared to a wolf.
They can bite through an elephant's femur, as we talked about.
Right, which they can't. The wolf pack is more close because they're all related, whereas hyenas, I don't believe, are all related. Hyenas are more brutal. They'll kill, like the young will kill their brother a lot of times. That's how they work. There's just
The hyenas
something.
will?
Yeah, they're a different animal, but they're similar enough that we can compare them. So I'd say it's 3-1, and I'd say it's probably 10-1 versus a male. So 3-1 wolf versus lion would be an even matchup.
It's amazing, huh?
And I'd
male
say
versus female.
It's amazing. These males come in, a pack of 50 hyenas are like, we're not doing this. Now, here's the difference. The wolves will coordinate attacks better than hyenas.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see these 3 wolves run up a grizzly bear. When I would
Yeah.
put a grizzly bear to kill a lion any day, but the wolves are better at that. So that's why it's like probably 2 wolves versus 1 female.
The
10.
wolves wouldn't fight, but like the wolves probably would not, are like a bit more even alpha, right? Like they don't know about not being alpha so much, so they would come in. You know what I'm saying? Like
No.
they would come into the fight, because if they're going to go at a grizzly bear, to me, they're not worried about a lion. In my mind,
I
from an attitude perspective,
you could say that a lion is faster than a grizzly, and maybe, I mean,
grizzlies are pretty fast though.
they are pretty fast.
And they're pretty mean.
I'm
and they
always really
shake you and
yeah.
stuff. Like, I
I
mean, the thing
know.
is,
I
let's
know.
let's do our normal, like, talk about how ridiculous the wild is. How like they'll grab these, like they'll like grab a wolf and shake it, and then you're just like, oh, that wolf's dead, like, or that wolf's maimed and his life is
But I've
over.
never seen that.
No, I've seen it.
You've
never
seen a grizzly kill a wolf?
grab. And see, he didn't kill it, but he like
Oh.
grab it and shook it, and I'm
Yeah,
like, it's not going to end well for that thing. I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
You're not going to
assume
go
he's
down
gonna
to
go off and
Banfield or
die.
whatever
Yeah.
and get patched up.
Yeah, but to hyena's credit, bro, you'll see a male lion like get a hyena for 20 seconds
Yeah,
and
and they don't
thrash him,
die.
and the hyena's like cruising off, like, okay. It's like, what?
What would you like
Bro,
to get mauled by, a bear or a lion?
A lion, because I'd be dead.
Oh, but we talked about this King of the Jungle thing. Can we tie
They're
into
better
the King of the Jungle
killers than
thing?
bears.
The Rogan thing I sent you.
Oh yeah, tell me.
So Rogan is talking to somebody,
Yeah, I
and he
saw that.
says, basically, who is the king of the jungle? And he says, not lions, but tigers are the king of the jungle. He makes a
I
good
know.
point that the lions don't live in the jungle.
He also said tigers get to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah,
Siberian
you didn't like
tigers.
that. You didn't like that I said the liger got to 900 pounds.
Yeah, that's a freak occurrence from taking a large female tiger, which gets bigger than lions, and taking a large male lion and making this super predator. But no, there's no
Super.
way if there's no way a Siberian tiger gets to 1,000 pounds. There's no way.
But
Do you know how big of a cat that is?
the issue that he was
There's no
saying,
way.
though, is he was trying to say that they're the king of the jungle, but he was saying, but remember, because you were trying to say maybe he wasn't talking about elephants, but he was talking about how they take down certain types of elephants. But the thing is, they don't take down those African bush elephants.
They don't take down the 13,000 pound males. They take down Indian elephants, which
Yeah.
are significantly smaller.
Yeah, and I get it, right? It's hard to take down if you're in
But
India.
he
It's hard
brings
to
up a
take
good
down an
point.
African elephant when you're not in you're not in Africa, right? And the same for vice versa, right? The issue I have is that he's wrong. The king, we did the joke about,
It's a grizzly
about
bear.
the elephant slamming the lion and being like, you don't get mad because you don't know the answer about, this joke about the lion, right? And the elephant. The elephant's a king of the jungle.
Oh, yes.
It's like,
But can
lion
we get
can
rid
think
of
he is.
can
but
we
he's
get rid
not.
of elephants as kings of anything? The blue whale is the king of everything.
No,
but
but
he's
you got to
cruising
break
around
it
the
into land versus
Okay,
ocean.
land, you need predators.
No,
in
you
this.
need land, ocean, and air.
A hippo's the second king.
Land, ocean, and air,
An adult male hippo ain't getting killed by anything
except an elephant.
except an elephant. Okay, so yeah, we need to take vegetarians out of it. They're gone. They're boring.
Why?
Because that's the game we're
There's
playing.
no way that the tiger gets anywhere close to hurting the largest elephant, though.
No, they're not even close.
Yeah.
But I would like a grizzly bear versus a Siberian tiger. Grizzly,
bear.
I think, still wins. Grizzlies, you've seen with the first podcast we ever played, or whatever, third,
When we got in trouble.
yeah, for showing
Yeah.
the grizzly. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
a cat is a cat. Cats are gnarly when they're the best killers, minus like an ant or a wasp or a honey badger, right? And
Mhm.
they're absolute killers. But man, the more I learn about grizzly bears, I'm in awe of grizzly bears. They're weird with their body too. They're almost cat-like with their body. So I saw this video
Very
of this
weird.
baby bear with a dog. And this bear did the most ninja-like move I've ever seen on the dog. And the dog was bigger.
Yeah.
And I just realized that these bears move differently than even a cat. Their jujitsu is off the
Yeah.
charts.
Did you see that one where the dog was going with the young bear,
And the bear
just
grabbed him and slammed him. And it was
He's
like
threw him like a judo throw.
a
It's
dog could
amazing.
never do that because his body's not made that way. And a cat could rarely do that because their brains aren't built that way.
They don't have the dexterity though, right? They
Cat?
don't. No, or none of them do compared to the bear.
Yeah, the
bear
bear's
has this
got a
ability to
weird
wrestle.
ability of wrestling.
It's because they wrestle. But
Yeah.
cats wrestle in a different way.
Cats wrestle, but I'm telling you, their brains don't work that way. They're kind of like get to the neck
Yeah.
and suffocate it. Or if it's small, just hold it. The bear's like, okay, how do I jujitsu ninja this guy? And I think the cat's gonna go, whoa,
That's why
what the
Khabib
hell
was such a good
happened?
grappler. He was wrestling
Fighting
with bears.
grizzlies. Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
So that's my I think a grizzly bear, and I know a grizzly bear beats a polar bear.
Who has the gnarliest intensity for fighting? Probably cats, right? When you see like I have cats in the house. When they fight, it is like
Oh.
watch out. And then we have cats outside.
Watch two pit bulls go at it.
These cats will fight outside, and it's like the whole neighborhood can hear these cats trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty
We
wild.
have two cats now too.
Now pit bulls, yeah, that's pretty serious business. But
watch two bears. Like everyone's trying to
but
kill
even still,
everyone.
they're not athletic like cats, right? You agree?
Dogs.
Dogs are not athletic like cats.
No, it's totally different. No, they don't have the grabbing, and then
Yeah.
the bears have the
They
grabbing.
only have the mouth
the
thing,
most,
right? It's like that's their main. That's their main.
Yeah, the dogs are
the ability to bite, right? Whereas
and the ability to run and track prey. So the dogs, the special thing about canines, wild dogs, wolves, dogs, is how far they can run. It's out of control how far wolves can run and the energy they have. It's next level.
It's like the humans, right? How
There's
humans
no
can
other
track
animal.
Everything.
Yeah, it's humans and dogs. We just run, made to run. Dogs are made to run. Elk, none of them are made to run like that.
It's weird though, because because they say that, right? Like, you could track down these different animals in the savannah, but I'm like, you're not tracking down a deer, and you're not tracking down an elk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could potentially sneak up on them and get one, but you're not going to if it knows you're there, you're not just going to run it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it could run so fast. It could cover 3 hillsides in 2 minutes, and you wouldn't even, you could barely do it with a car.
Bears can actually run a long ways too. And that's, I always trip out on even how a wolf gets or a bear gets an elk. Cause I'm like, they're so fast, right? They're hooved animals. Like they're made, and that bear, he just doesn't stop running. And eventually, and those wolves, they just don't stop. They just wear their prey down.
You know what I think it is?
Wolves.
I think it's wind. I wonder if bears understand wind. Do you think so?
I don't
or
know.
they just get lucky.
I mean, animals understand weird stuff. It's like the sea turtle, like goes to the middle of the ocean, then goes back to the place it was born. Like what? How? Like they just understand things.
Because I'm wondering, they're probably going to think, see, it's always going to look at if you're hunting them, for hunting deer. I wonder if I'm just trying to see if they know, because the only way they're going to be able to catch them is by
going
sneaking
upwind
up on them.
or downwind. No, upwind.
Well, no, I actually believe that that's true, because I don't know if you know that, but the deer will position themselves to where the wind is favorable for them. Like when how they also will look in different directions a lot of times.
Yeah.
If there'd be a whole herd of them, there's 20 or 30, they'll all be turned in different directions to see everything. But they also they know which way the wind is going, and they'll also.
So they understand.
So
yeah,
I'm
bears
sure
are smarter than deer.
How dare you talk like that?
Yeah.
I love deer.
You love to eat deer.
So what? But you build an appreciation.
I know.
When you eat them.
I know.
This stupid thing keeps turning green every so often.
Oh,
Have you
really?
noticed that?
No.
Hopefully the podcast comes out okay for the pod.
It's fine.
Good enough, right?
Yeah. So hey, you want to play that voicemail? Are we off the? Well, I could talk about wild animals fighting all day, honestly, and people like it. So what do you guys? Hopefully, what do you guys think of my wolf? What did I say? 2-1 wolf versus lion, which is hot. I would think it would be 4-1. I don't think it is. I think wolves are gnarly. It depends on the wolf, right? You're talking some low African wolf, or or you're talking a northern Siberian, northern Canadian wolf. These things are 200 plus pounds. A female lion's 250.
Are you sure they're that small?
They're not giant.
How big is a
Maybe, I mean,
average
300
lion?
could be 300.
I'm fact checking.
Female lions are they're not that
We
big.
we treat you like Alex Jones on here. We have to fact check everything you say.
How large is a female lion? Weight of a female lion. You can't spell female or
Eventually,
lion.
I'm gonna get it. 265 to 395.
What'd I
So
say? 250?
Yeah, so call
I
it.
mean, a 400-pound
call it-
female is big.
Yeah, so
obviously.
call it like 315 or so, probably average.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, they're big. There was at my school. The female there was big.
How about male lion? Do we know this off the top of our heads? When I say we, I mean you.
450 to
600.
550.
Man, my typing is suspect. 330 to 570. That's a big gap. So like four.
Jeez.
What is that?
It's a small.
240 difference. So 120. So it'd be 450. 450 average probably.
Yeah.
Or the median
Yeah.
rather. Here, you ready to hear this voicemail?
Yeah.
It's from our gal Nancy. We don't know her, but she's part of the pod. Let me turn the speaker on. Hold on a second.
Nancy
here's speaker. Here we
from
go.
South Carolina.
Here, it's louder now. Okay.
Okay.
Still not that loud compared to yours. Let me
Just
see.
stick it in the mic.
Joel, Eric,
Better.
it's Nancy from South Carolina. How's it going?
Good.
I hated hearing you say in your last podcast that it was going to make you guys broke, but
It
I
will.
really appreciate everything I've gotten from you so far, and you're both hilarious.
Oh.
So please don't
I like
stop
her
being
already.
you because of people who don't get your humor.
Haters.
I have a PSA for any of your viewers who are on the fence about trying the gentle leader.
Oh.
Just do it. I have a
Have you
cattle
heard this?
dog who is just so stubborn and excited. It made all the difference in the world. And the worst you have to lose is $25, right? Anyway, I
She's
have
right.
one question. Other than the leash, can you recommend some exercises or practices to work on impulse control? He is an 18-month-old altered male cattle dog who is so excited about doing and seeing everything that his impulse control is really the biggest thing that I'm working on now. So I appreciate any info you guys have. Have a great day.
Unfortunately, the dog training segment is over. So maybe next week.
Unfortunately, we don't talk about dog training on this dog training podcast.
You heard the disclaimer.
Okay. Can I say a couple things
I'm joking.
about our voicemail? I'm going to say something that I have said before on this podcast, and I'm going to say something that I've said to clients, and no one cares. And I don't care that no one cares because I care. And I think it's the single greatest point ever about gentle leaders, and nobody ever cares. But I'm going to not stop saying it because I know it to be true. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm apparently the gentle leader guy. Like, I'm the only YouTuber that uses gentle leaders a lot. Like, that's what I'm known for. Even didn't Garrett Wing, like,
You use them on yourself too.
yeah. So didn't even Garrett Wing, he was like, well, I guess he didn't know I use gentle leaders. But here's what I'm going to say about gentle leaders. Something going over the nose and turning the head of a large animal, and your dog could be a large animal, right? Your 10-pound dog, I don't recommend it. Your 100-pound Great Dane, I do, but that's a large animal. Civilizations have lived and died on their ability to ride horses with a gentle leader. Civilizations have, you either survive or you don't on having the best method to control your horse. You might die, your family might die, your whole way of life and your tribe, or you're in Rome, or you're on the plains and you're the Indians on the plains riding horses. You may die if you don't have the best way to control your horse. What has never been changed about horse training? Do you think they went to prongs? Do you think they went to a normal collar? Do you think they went to a choke chain? We're trying to do it a better way than the Native Americans did it. And the people still do it, which is putting a thing over the nose and the dog or the horse's head turning. We're trying.
It's all about leverage.
We think we're going to invent the wheel again. It's already been invented.
Yeah.
That's my argument. You can watch my videos and go, oh, that thing works. Or you can go, It's one reason I'm a good trainer, because I worked with animals that would kill me if I'm not a good trainer.
Yeah.
Force free folks, they've never worked with animals that will kill them. Why would their life didn't depend on them being good at their job.
Mm-hmm.
My life depended on me being good at my job.
Do you think
Hence,
you
I'm good at
could've-
my job.
Do you think you could have been killed by, like, this is a weird question. Do
I
you
could have
think
been killed by 2 of the animals I've worked
Do you think that you could have, like, if I put you in, even right now, I put you into SeaWorld, I know they don't do that anymore, but
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever they just say we transported you that time again.
Yeah.
Could you make that animal try to get you? Like, do you think you know enough about an orca to be like,
Oh,
I can
yeah.
get this thing to kill me?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what would you do to make it
Oh my
go
God.
at you? Like sudden
I could
movements? Like,
die.
what is it?
Yeah, I would. Well, the wrong animal. Let's say it's an animal they swim with, right? Not Tillicum, who killed the trainer. That's a special case. But let's say one of the animals that we swam with.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could get that animal to kill me.
So
I would. Here's what I would do. I would thrash around and act like I don't know what I'm doing. The killer whale would come over and go, "This idiot doesn't know what he's doing."
and then
Hence,
go
I'm going to
drag it.
kill him because he's a moron. Whereas a trainer has a certain way to move and do, and the animal goes, "You're a person of importance, and I know you're going to deliver me the reinforcement in a timely manner, and I trust you, and I know you."
You're gonna give him the fish, right?
And if I go in there and act like a moron, they're going to go, "That's Joel. I used to like him, and now he's an idiot, and I'm going to kill him." And I'm not going to thrash him, but maybe I'll pull him under a little too long. And
But I mean, was Tillicum was a bad seed, so to speak, or is it really more
No.
just like the rest of them would act in the wild? Less trained, maybe, is the question.
if you wanted to train a whale to think people are play toys, you would raise Tillicum the way he was raised. It's
So it's a flaw in the way that they trained that dog.
It's not the flaw in the way they trained. There was mistakes made with him early on that made him believe people are play toys. He was involved in a trainer was by themselves in a Vancouver aquarium, slipped in the water, 3 whales played with the guy died. They did not try to kill him, pulled him under, he died. So what did you just tell Tillicum?
So
These people, and there was no spotter, what's it called, right? A spotter watching the guy. The guy was just cleaning by himself, or girl, slipped in the water, Then random dude in the middle of the night
sounds terrifying
at SeaWorld Orlando jumps in the water in the middle of the night. Random guest.
Is that a Darwin Award winner?
Yeah, pretty much is. But it sucks for Tillicum
Yeah.
because he was like, "Oh, body in the water, no one around,
Free
let
food.
me just play with him for a little bit." Guy dies. They come in the morning, dead body on Tillicum's back. Tillicum won't give it up. Why would he give it up?
Are you saying that
It's a lot of fun. And
they're
then
fast enough that, like, even me, if I jumped in there, I couldn't get away from the whales?
a killer whale, I'm going to say this right now. A killer whale is the fastest animal in the ocean. There is zero doubt about that. They are so fast, it boggles my brain. No, Joel, a mako shark is. No, it's not. No, Joel, a dolphin. No, it's not. A porpoise. No. It's a whale. It's a killer whale. They're just their shape. What's a football look like? Why can you?
Looks like a
It looks like a killer whale.
killer
So
whale, yeah.
that shape, that real fat middle part,
Yeah.
that is all designed for speed. They go real fat into real skinny on both sides, and there's nothing. That thing moves through the water. It's unbelievable.
So you're saying I couldn't get away from it?
Yeah, you couldn't.
But so are you blown away? Like I mean, I saw your
I'm blown
smirk
away
on
by
this
killer
on
whales.
this question. You were kind of like you were just probably continually surprised when you're like, dude, it's already here. Like it went from here to there so fast that it blew you away when you were working with them, of course.
When I'm working with them, I notice the speed, and then I watch videos and I put the two together. So my own personal experience goes, wow, but they could never reach real top speed when I worked with them.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see these crazy videos in the wild, and you sort of pair up my brain with what I'm seeing on a video, and I go, there's no way anything is as fast as them. Bro.
Can I try to prove you wrong while you talk?
Yeah, please do. So, and I'll just argue with the internet.
Yeah,
like I do not care. I know I'm right.
Black marlin?
No.
Well, black marlin's not saltfish, swordfish, but they're also not predators.
They're not big enough. No, I don't even care about no. I don't care about predators
Why not?
because they're the fastest of anything. There's not enough size to those fish. A marlin and a tuna, they're big. They ain't 8,000 pounds of pure muscle and a shape that is perfectly designed to go through the water with the littlest amount of resistance.
37
A
miles an hour
sailfish
for
with a giant sail on its back, that's a drag. A female killer whale with a fin that's only that big, that ain't that much drag. It's called a sailfish because it's got a sail on it, and they're acting like it's the fastest fish.
Did you?
They didn't do. I get worked up.
How fast? So yeah, I would agree with you that they are faster than the humpback whales just by the sheer aerodynamics of them. But from me, like we go swimming with the humpback whales in Maui, right? You know this.
Okay.
You've seen pictures of my daughter.
Go
Right?
ahead.
So it is amazing how fast they can go because if you're with them swimming and then they just pop up somewhere else and you're like, wow, they just popped up
Yeah,
half
they're
a mile
fast.
away in
They're
like
big.
2 seconds if
They're
they
big.
want to. The biggest
Big's
problem
good.
is they can hold their breath so long that like you can't really monitor where they're going because
Humpbacks also have real long pectoral fins. Those things are so long that it's got to be some drag on that thing.
but it's a lot of power.
That's the thing. I
to
would argue
move.
maybe like a sperm whale that's just going as fast as it can. There's just so
This is a
much
family show.
power behind it that maybe they can reach it. But you need to be big in the water to be fast. You can't be a little thing.
What's it called? A beluga whale? Is that something?
Yeah, a beluga whale something.
What are they? A real whale?
No, they're a dolphin. Well, killer whale's not a real whale. It's a dolphin. It's a dolphin.
What are they called? A
family.
killer whale then? The
Yeah, I
hell's
know.
going on?
Yeah. So beluga.
whale. So
they're
those
really they're really nice. And if you put your foot on them, which
looks like
only
a weird dolphin.
it's
right?
all jelly. So their whole like mount what do they call it? Whatever. They're melon.
Mhm.
If it's I've never done it because I didn't work in that area, but they would do a foot push on them and it's your foot just sinks into they have this
Their head?
giant echolocation thing on their
That's what the little
head.
thing is.
That's what that big old bump is.
Let me show
But it's
the-
like
let me show the
jelly.
pod.
Show that one. Look at that one. If you're
Beluga.
at home, we're looking at a beluga whale's melon. Like, look at that.
This one?
That's all gel. It's basically jelly.
Wow.
It's way softer than you think, and they can move it. They can
Mm.
it's crazy. They're cool.
Pretty wild. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we could just bring up animals. I could just give you random facts.
Beluga. And then what's the other one called? A manatee? What are those? That's not a whale, is it?
No, it's its own family. Its own family. Dugons. I think it's dugons and
Are
manatees.
these like weird animals from millions of years ago or what?
I don't know. I don't know much about manatees, but there's
Manatees they almost look like a walrus. Kind of.
dugons too. Yeah, maybe they are in the walrus family. Actually, now that you say that, right? You go to Florida, they're all over. You're just cruising around. There's manatees. It's cool.
They always get like torn up by the propellers of the boats.
Yeah, and they're only live in a few spots. So
what
they're,
did you
like,
call the
endangered.
other animal?
Dugong?
Dugong? Oh, the marine mammal.
Dugong. Look at this thing.
It looks kind of like the other one.
Looks like manatee.
Yeah. That's interesting. What else did you answer the question about the that the lady asked? Or are you good on that with the
Wolves?
gentle eater and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. Then she said, "How do I?" Okay, so did it make sense about my gentle eater thing?
The reason to use it is good, but she already knew that.
But I want to make sure that my gentle leader. Yeah.
See podcast 2 or 3. You go into that a bit.
But does it? Am I the only one that this makes sense to? When the stakes are high enough that your civilization you're gonna find, and still they use this thing on a horse that goes over the nose.
It's jujitsu. It's leverage. It's the ability to control a really incredibly strong. But you wouldn't use a prong collar with a horse.
But you can say that. But you have no facts. I'm saying the facts are that civilizations lived in. Why didn't they switch it up on horses? Why didn't they go to the prong on a horse?
But I have the facts.
Yeah,
because I can still see. You can still take a horse and put a
prong on it.
put a prong on it and see how it helps you. It probably doesn't help you at all. I mean, it
Yeah,
would drag
that's what I'm
you
saying.
if it wanted to. So the pulling its head in the
Yeah,
opposite
yeah,
direction
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So that was something we were discussing about. It was actually at work. We're talking about things that are statistically significant. And I was thinking, like, I don't care if they're statistically significant.
Oh.
This is probably going to be controversial. Some of our scientific people are not going to like this, but because I'm like, let's just imagine the sun going up and down or something like that, where you're like, we need to observe what's happening. Well, like, oh, well, you've only seen it happen 100 times. That's not statistically significant, right? Whereas you
Yeah.
would say, like, yeah, but I still can tell you where it's going to come up every time, right? I know the direction it's coming up. It's not coming, it's not rising the opposite direction, right?
Okay.
It's not coming up in the west, right? And
Yes.
setting in the east. So those are the types of things where it's like,
that's my point.
at a certain point, I just want to know what's happening. And someone in the comments, I think it was last week or the week before, had a really good point about that. Oh no, I think it was actually the person that had like 100,000 subs on Instagram that was going in back and forth with Zach George.
Yeah.
They were talking about the
Remember that
observation.
person.
They're like, no, science is not for you to
right,
prove your pet theory.
Right.
It's to see what Joel does, observe what Joel's doing.
Yeah.
And then try to understand if you can replicate it and do it in like that direction. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, if you tell
that's
me,
right.
it's a weird, like, who has the burden of proof, where if you're
Right.
like, hey, man, those Borbles, man, when they get a hold of you, they'll really cause trouble. And you'll be like, what type of evidence do you have to prove that? And you're like, well, they weigh 100 pounds. You're like, it doesn't matter. You don't have any studies.
Yeah.
What's your study, and what's the
God, that's true.
whether it's statistically significant.
Right.
You're like, well, I've worked with 10 and I've never seen one that wouldn't get a chihuahua and rip it apart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're like convinced.
It's complex stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's
in a way like science, like how it works, burden of proof.
Well, I'm getting
in an argument. How do you frame the argument?
Well, I'm getting more turned into your direction. I think sometimes you're going into my direction, about how at the beginning you were always like very much on the anecdotal stuff. Like,
oh, right.
Because you're like, I worked with them for 20 years. I have a basic understanding of like how each of them will operate. And I don't need to read a study. You're not going to learn anything from reading the study.
Nothing.
Because they're not asking
I shouldn't say
the right
nothing.
questions.
Well, they're definitely not asking the right questions.
I do.
Someone brought up all the governing bodies too, that like Zach George references, and the person's like, these are private companies that like, it was an interesting argument against it, of which we may in-depth explore in videos or podcasts at some point if it comes to that.
I think I actually found it though.
Expose.
The guy, his name was Zarabi. Zarabi.
That guy's a stud.
He was like, has like 100,000 subs on IG, and he was going back and forth with Zach George on the last week's podcast where Zach came on.
But he was doing
it
in Instagram.
Yeah. And it said, oh crap, Zach George making the mistake of challenging someone with actual knowledge, formal education, and years of experience and proof online dealing with the subject than Zach will ever have. Pick your fights wisely, Zach. You are way out of your league. Here as usual. That wasn't it though, but I think him and them were going back and forth. I'm sure they are familiar with each other, right?
Yeah. Zach, this guy was not letting up, and Zach wasn't letting up.
I mean, there's nothing to say that. There's nothing to say that. I mean, it makes sense that anyone that has a lot of subs might know each other. But I believe it was him who also said something, and it was really well explained. But it was about why.
He did. He's a smart guy. Yeah. That.
Here it is. I found it. I'm pumped. This was from IG. This is the same thing. I'm actually pumped that I found this. Do you start? He's tagging Zach. Do you start with modern behavioral science consensus, which means what the Zach studies and results? When challenge, you claim of that's an easy mistake looking for the perfect study, and then point me in a generalized direction, but can't point to even one single study that actually represents what you state. Can you be more vague about your point? That is not how an educated person articulates an argument. To simply state that is what people say is not a valid argument, Zach. That truly is pathetic of him. He's not being very nice here. Making a point. I won't attack your education level or ask if you have a degree, but if you do, you should know better. That last comment is truly poor quality in every aspect. Prove me wrong. That it isn't. Try at least. See, I had it, but it wasn't the exact one.
Yeah.
But he was saying, yeah, he was talking about your method specifically. It was actually pretty cool. Wish I could find it.
Yeah. The person with the experience with the dogs is going to, if it comes to a knockdown, drag out fight, the person with the experience with the dogs is going to win that argument, as opposed to the person citing studies and organizations.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be close. And there's going to be embarrassment in it if it comes to, if it comes down to it for the other party, and it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't come to that.
I don't want to be reading. Some of you guys were not very nice
To Zach.
We had over, there's 20,000 views in the first 600 comments in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
When we talked about prison last week, somebody said, the Wolf Pack said, and he was showing the time, and he says, Joel's RBF would save him in prison.
My resting bitch face,
Yes.
of which in the blooper video, some client, I said I had resting bitch face.
So here's this guy, Armin Hammer, says,
I've seen that guy.
Joel is a correction officer. Nate Schomer is a probation officer. Zach is a counselor. All are necessary. I don't think.
And then someone said Joel's all three.
Yeah, and then
I like that comment.
But so then this Nate Schomer, is that how you say it?
Oh yeah.
Do you know who this is?
Yeah.
It's so funny. People go, Nate Schomer. Why don't you ever talk about Nate Schomer?
They love Nate Schomer.
I don't know who it is. I've never heard of him.
He's some guy. He's like a young guy, probably younger than me.
That's not very young.
I've seen a couple videos. I don't remember them. And he's like a young guy. Yeah, I don't know a lot about him.
I like this guy, Illuminati Killer 1. This is the nicest I've ever seen you be. I have talked smack a couple of times about you being not sweet. I'm proud of you, bro. Sorry.
Oh.
Illuminati Killer said that about you.
For my nice video with the Cane Corso, right? Or in the podcast.
So. This is the Bane one, right?
Yeah.
I think so. It's hard to tell. That Bane, that was an interesting video, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess I just don't put me being on there being nice a lot. Like just being like, oh,
the RBF,
boy.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's the RBF. Did you have any comments?
Yeah.
Oh, can we do some apologies?
Sure.
I have two apologies that I want you to make.
Apology segment. The long lost apology segment is back. Go ahead.
Okay. I want Joel to apologize for this one. I want Joel to apologize for putting the wrong podcast on the audio thing.
Oh yeah. I posted the wrong podcast. Yeah. On Spotify and Apple.
Didn't you do something else like
that? I didn't do the
you did another
thumbnail correctly like 3-4 podcasts ago.
Oh no, there was something different like this week that you did. I forgot what it was, but I'll find it.
Okay, you're going to apologize. You should apologize to this.
Okay.
My comment. Worst period, promo period, cut period ever.
Dude, but how do you know he's not talking about yours?
Could be talking about me. So we had apparently the worst promo cut ever.
Should we do a promo cut for someone else to get invited to the podcast?
We don't want anybody on this podcast, do we?
But we wanted what was her name? The Kona boy.
I'll take.
We want Caesar Milan. Where are you at, buddy?
Caesar Milan.
Come on the podcast, man. You got a book to sell? You got something? You got a new, I don't know. What is he? Is he Animal Planet? What is his
he
Discovery
does
Channel?
Yeah, he like travels around. You know?
Hey. Come on,
bro.
man.
You got
something to sell something. Come on here. Push the product. We'll support that.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I read this one? Crayola Coffee
be like all these comedians. They just go on podcasts all the time.
Around.
Like they cruise around. Caesar.
I saw Caesar on a podcast and it didn't have as many views as this one did. So, hey,
really?
The floor is yours, my friend. No,
really,
it didn't,
bro. Maybe
but
I'm friends with those people.
You might know him, but I'm just saying, we'd love to have you on, Caesar. Come on.
Yeah, you're a number one dog person.
Crayola Coffee Bean says ZG is the poster, and if this is not appropriate, I'm going to just skip it. ZG is the poster child of outdated progressivism, aka regressivism. It's tired, it's old, it's insufferable, and it's overstayed its welcome. People are done with weak, wimpy men trying to proclaim things are problematic. People like Joel DD, Dog Daddy, Caesar, are calm, assertive men, not overpowering and aggressive, but corrective through presence. Their level of correction is discipline, which is love and care for the animals so that they can be part of society and loved in it. I could go on, but the short of it is that ZG is very aggressive, but it's masked by fake kindness, so people praise it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. There was a lot worse than that, which we're not going to read.
Yeah, no,
they were brutal.
Brutal. Interesting. This person, Squawktopus, says, my dad told me.
How do these people come up with the names? Does YouTube give them names?
No, not that name. I'll tell you that. My dad told me at this time stamp that when he was young, he was diagnosed with a bleeding ulcer, and his doctor told him he had to stop smoking. Instead, he shopped doctors until he found one that said he could keep smoking. ZG is the guy for people who want to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What else you got?
All right. Well, we should be done here shortly.
We have 5 minutes, so I can get my bonus.
All right.
I could go on forever. I've got a lot of good ones, but
there's a lot of comments. You guys loved or seemingly loved that last.
Some of these are just too bad. They're horrible. I can't even read these out. Let me see here.
Oh, okay, I'm going to go to the number one.
I'll do a wheel of fortune, or what do you call it? The
spinning wheel of comments.
The spinning wheel of comments. The random. Let the good Lord decide what's gonna be done. You want to go first or no?
All right, let's find the comment with the most likes.
Okay, let me know.
I think I found it. Okay, here's the most liked comment. Let's see if you read it.
I read them all.
Zach George is the worst self-proclaimed dog trainer ever. I've been working with dogs for over 50 years. I've seen a lot of dog trainers. Zach wins the prize for being the worst. He spews a bunch of word salad. Yeah, word salad.
How many likes does it
166.
Have? Wow.
Word salad's an interesting thing. Wasn't it Einstein who said, like, if you can't explain something very clearly, you don't have an understanding of it?
Yeah.
Or something. It's really, if you do have to talk and talk and talk to explain even a very complex topic, you don't get it. Yeah. Listen to Elon Musk or any of these smart guys sort of explain. They can do it very succinctly, so where people understand it. I believe I can do it. You have a aggressive dog. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you 3 things to do, and it's gonna help most people some percentage. Right? When you have to just talk and talk and talk to explain something, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think even like with like business, right? Like going to business school, like sometimes people talk about like stocks and bonds and they'll be like, I don't understand. It's so complicated. And I'll be like, stocks is like ownership of a company. Bonds is like borrowing money. Like it's pretty simple, basic business stuff. Like profit. What's profit? It's like revenues minus expenses. Like if it doesn't need to be super complicated. I think people don't capture the like high level. You should capture the high level and then hit the main points. And also, just because you're teaching something that's right doesn't mean that it needs to be taught at that time, right? Like there's a lot of things that you work with a client maybe that they're like, well, why doesn't he teach them something more complicated? And you're like, well, because they're not ready to be taught that yet.
Oh yeah, and that's super important. I love how Zach, who learned dog training from a big box store's training program, knows how to turn out puppy trainers, tries to teach, quote unquote, teach Joel, who went to a real animal training school and has worked not only with dogs, but killer whales and other apex predators. Zach, you're out of your league. Isn't it time for you to go back to puppy training and teach and teaching back stalls? I don't know what that is. Actually, how's your own dog doing? Okay.
So yeah, and I think
that
to be fair to Zach,
he got it, man.
To be fair to Zach, we weren't coming at him, but literally 585 of the comments were about Zach. So,
we're reading the comments, which we do
Yeah, we
every
did.
single podcast.
See,
and if we found a nice one, I would read it.
So I don't read them by, shout out to R. Patrick for putting the timestamps. I want to give him some constructive criticism. If you start without the pitch, if you have a pitch you want to say, you have to say it at the end. Because if you don't show the 000 and then what it is, then I can't find that you're timestamping it. Does that make sense?
You can't find in the timeline?
Because when you timestamp it, it'll show in blue that it's like a timestamp. You can click it; it'll take you to the time.
You know
this,
start,
right?
Yes, you have to start with zero, and yeah, it has to be the first thing you say.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be the first thing you say. But if you don't put it as the first thing you say, when I'm looking through the comments to find it, to pin it or whatever, I can't find it because he's just saying something. Because if it's too long, it's hidden by YouTube.
Now, just so everyone knows, I do 99.9% of the pinning and you just wanted to pin that.
I like to pin
because I couldn't find
when
it.
I can. I like to pin the
R. Patrick timestamps.
The timestamps, yeah, in general.
He's saying we can't see it if it's a paragraph.
Yeah, and if you're commenting multiple times, 10 times on a video, I can't just find in there 600. So just put
or do it how you want to do it.
You want to do it, but it took me like 30 minutes to find you. Find your thing, and you couldn't find it. Can I do one of the comment roulette?
Oh yeah, spin it.
It might be dangerous, but we'll see what we can find. Ready?
Very dangerous.
All right, let's see what we can find here. Okay, here we go.
Do it too.
This one's from 5 days ago. It's from Under Duress 5761. It says, Zach George, why even mention his name on your podcast? Everyone here knows exactly what position he'd have in prison hierarchy. The same as
that's terrible.
Come on, guys.
That's terrible.
I can't finish the rest of this. This is not something that could be shared on the podcast.
No.
Guys, I just told you this is a family show.
Yes.
Under duress. Talk on here. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Did you do the roulette? What'd you find?
Oh, okay. Let me do it. What if it's terrible? Okay.
Well, if it's something really bad about Zach George, don't say it out loud.
Yeah. Great podcast. This is Encinitas Speed Company. That's my Encinitas person that I know. I don't know him, but we have mutual friends. And I just roulette found him. Great podcast. 3 Malinois put down at the Palomar Airport Road shelter. So sad. These dogs could be fixed so easy using your methods. The positive only people are doing so much damage. He's a Malinois guy. Encinitas Speed Company. And if I ever have bees, I'm calling that guy.
What's the deal with the bee thing? What does he do?
I think he does bee removal.
Bee removal. Okay.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people in Encinitas and we have mutual friends.
There's so many.
That was funny. I randomly found that guy.
This is actually funny. Someone thought it was funny when I said you're looking.
Maybe he raises
outdated.
bees. I don't want to mess up his.
Yeah.
deal.
Let us know. Put it in the comments about what you do. Also, put in the comments any other topics that you have for.
Or call us. The phone number is in.
Are you putting
the
that
description?
Are you putting it in there
every week?
Okay.
Yeah, we get calls. We don't read every call.
God, you did something, and I was like, how did you do that? It was something that you did with the podcast, and I was like,
I did timestamps.
I was like, this guy's killing me.
And then our Patrick took my job after I took his job.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Aren't you reading something?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
And then we'll be done.
Okay.
Till next week.
Let me do one that's not about Zach.
Yeah, dude.
Actually, hold on. Let me just go to.
Should.
Well,
or do one that's good for Zach.
I'm doing them.
That's nice to Zach.
I'll
try to find a nice
one. You find one. Oh, hey, can we do this real quick? Can we talk about a dog for a second?
Love that thumb.
Catahoula leopard dog.
Yeah.
Someone told us to do that.
Breed of the week.
I think my wife's
They're little
grandmother and grandfather was a hunter. I think they had these dogs as like bird dogs or something. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've trained quite a few of them. They're sort of they're houndish, but they're not like houndish. I mean, if it's like, hey, this dog's from the bayou in Louisiana, bred and took all these, it's been around for 200 years. Like that's going to be a funky dog. Like,
yeah,
what kind of dog is in the Louisiana bayou?
Yeah, it's going to be like, Theo Vaughn or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird anomaly.
So the pet.
So I've trained a lot. Here's the thing with them too. A lot of A lot of people think they have Catahoula mixes. I think so. They'll be like, "Yeah, he's part Catahoula because he's got these spots," and you don't know, but they can be they're not like super amenable. Is that the word? Like we're
I
like
think so.
yeah, where it's like they're just gonna do what I say. Like they have a streak
Isn't
of
that like what Siberian
stubbornness.
Huskies?
They can have a streak of like aggression.
Isn't that like Siberian
Yeah,
Huskies? I actually saw a video from ZG
amenable.
about it, about Siberian Huskies and about whether they are easy to train or not. I mean, I think every animal here, well, forget about it. How about this? The pet wellness coach says this, which is also like kind of what we were talking about for the whole podcast. That is 100% true. Purina, Hills, RC fund many of the vet schools. Definitely much of the research, and they design and assemble, and sometimes our reps actually teach the nutritional curriculum, of which there's typically very little. Because that's big pharma in bed with big pet and big education. It's all just big business. But at some point, you're responsible for your own decisions. Those are all good points from the pet wellness coach. But right here, teaching the nutritional curriculum. She's saying, and I don't know if you got a chance to look into this, that Purina, Hills, RC, I don't even know who RC is, teaching, designing, assembling, and teaching the nutritional curriculum for the vet schools. That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I was looking for a nice Zach George comment.
You're not going to find
I wasn't even listening.
No, you're not going to.
I'm trying to find a good one.
I read every single comment. There was 600 comments or 603 or something.
Not
I read
one.
every one of them. There was one that was like, I used to watch him, but then I had trouble with my dog, and so I watched you.
That's not nice.
There was somebody who was like,
mean.
he's not bad, but there was one that I'm talking, you're not going to find it. But what she was saying was about the nutritional curriculum being written by the dog food companies.
Oh, for sure. That it showed in that.
Is that true?
It showed in that video. Like it showed the packet that goes to vets, and it's like by Purina, and it's like nutritional stuff. Like teach the classes. What's up with vets? By the way, vets. There's a high suicide rate for vets. For veterinarians.
How about dog trainers? Is there a high suicide rate?
I don't know. There's probably not enough dog trainers to get the studies on that. But vets, what's up with that?
Not according to the comment section. Everyone seems to be a dog trainer.
Yeah, but a real dog trainer.
Oh, you know what has the most dog trainers?
Vets need to step up their game. And like, I think it's this weird. So when you're a kid, you want to work with animals. They think a vet is the way to go. So it's these weird animal lovers that go into it. I was an animal lover who went a different way. Mm-hmm. And then
you broke bad.
They just kind of probably go, what is me being a vet does very little for my animal love. Like I'm not, my need is not being satiated by this job.
But why would it be?
Because they think that's the only route to go.
Yeah.
If you love it, how do you really work with animals?
But think about it.
There are other ways.
Think about it in terms of like, this is kind of a weird way to think about it, but imagine being like loving animals. So you're like, I'm going to be a vet. It seems similar to like, I love humans. I'm going to go be a correctional facility, guard.
But there's a lot of ways if you do love humans to get that, to touch humans.
Or to say, I love humans. I'm going to go work in the ER. Like how I don't see the straight line there.
If you, what's the jobs you can get if you love animals?
Dog training.
True. What else?
You can work do they still call them carnies? Working
at a circus? Yeah, there's only a few. They don't want to work at a circus. They don't want to be a zookeeper. They're not going to get the job at SeaWorld. There's not many. I think your point about dog training is actually a good one. That is a way to do it.
You're running out of things you can do. So do you mind me asking? So
high esteem, you can be thought of coolly.
Where are we at with SeaWorld now? Is there still are?
There's whales. They can't breed them, so they'll eventually die.
How long do they live?
In the wild, 80 years. In
How long
captivity,
do they live?
40.
40?
30.
So they 20, so they're just, they got to keep, when did they kind of,
their last baby born?
10 years?
10 years ago? 12 years ago?
So they could still be in captivity for another 30 years.
Yeah.
And so, but when did the shows stop?
the swimming with him.
Yeah.
After Don died in 2008.
Oh,
I
it's
was
been that long?
I was on my way to a client's house, and the client was the parents of an elephant trainer that I knew who went to my school. His best friend was killed by an elephant, and he was attacked by a monkey, a capuchin that messed him up. And I was on the way to his parents'
Weird
house.
story.
Isn't it weird that I was and my wife called me and said Don has been killed, and I got to the house and I said I can't do our session today. My friend was killed by a whale, and I just wasn't like I don't think I could have done that session. And they said, and they understood because their son, like isn't that kind of unique that I was on the way? It would have been better if I was on the way to that guy's house and he'd,
But did you? So
I was
so
on
it's not that
his
you
parents'
knew
house.
her. She was an actual friend.
She was a great friend.
Do you know of a friend that I might know that you know that would be like that's how good of friends you are with the person? That's such a weird question.
Well,
Just so I can get a gauge of like
she was in Florida. I had left 2 to 3 years before that, so it'd be like a friend who's 2,000 miles
But what
away.
about when you were when you were both in Florida? Like how close were you guys?
Okay, I've told the story before. I'll keep it real quick. Dawn and I had a falling out because I was a arrogant young guy and I got mad at her as a manager. And
you were managing her?
She was managing me. And I've told this story of I overstepped, and I regret it to this day. And we had a falling. We were still good friends, but we were really close before that. I was not.
What'd you do?
She was really pushing the staff really hard. And I was like, I'm going to stand up for the staff. And I said, hey, can I talk to you? And I said, I think you're pushing everyone too hard and blah, blah, blah.
You took her to the side or in front of everybody?
No, to the side, one-on-one. But the truth
Sounds
is,
reasonable.
I wasn't the level to do that. I didn't have enough life experience to do that.
Beckman, bro.
I had not worked with dangerous animals long enough to do that. If someone did that to me as a man, when I'm a manager, I would listen to them because I have to, because I'm a manager. But I would say, you don't know shit, you little punk. You haven't done this long enough. You don't understand what these whales can do to you.
But that's
what she should have said to me.
A manager and a leader. And I think a leader should always have that avenue open to where if somebody wants to pull up a chair and talk out in front, not in front of everybody, she could have educated you. And I don't want to talk about her. I'm just saying in general, like somebody, if you are a manager and people do not feel comfortable sharing their concerns with you,
well,
you're not much of a leader.
Thank you.
Right? Like,
now, the tone of how I said it, I don't remember. It might have been done perfectly, and I'm giving myself a hard time because our relationship was never the same, and then she died. Or I could have, the tone put it in right. I could have been, she was pushed, because she was going through some stuff personally then that I didn't know of till later. And my tone might have been wrong, and I was wrong. My tone might have been right, and thank you for making me feel that way, because it always has. I've always had a problem with it, because I went on to be obviously a business owner, a manager. And I think I've always felt like I was in the wrong for that. I shouldn't have done that. But we were very close before that.
But you're not.
It would be.
Was Liz friends with her?
Liz knew her.
Okay. But not as close as you guys were.
No, because Liz didn't work with her when my wife worked in Orlando.
And
Dawn wasn't management yet then.
Her death, rest in peace, was featured on the Blackfish documentary, right? Was that the one who we're talking about?
Well, that was the main incident, yeah.
And so, not to get graphic or whatever, but it took her down, right? I mean, she was killed during a show or after hours?
And a Dine with Shamu, which is like a mini show.
Like with like a private show for like only a number of people, like 20 people or something.
Yeah.
Because I watched that documentary. I was buddies with you at this time.
Yeah.
This is probably 10, it's what, 2014?
Oh,
like No, when the documentary came out.
Yeah, I know.
Was it 2014?
I think it was 2010.
I feel like it
doesn't matter.
I'm just saying whatever. I mean, I think it's like 2014, but that's fine. Blackfish document 2013.
Okay.
So anyways, so essentially it was in front of people.
Yeah.
And did they say like why it, or was there anything she could have done differently?
I will not speak to that because I will not ever blame her. You could argue SeaWorld blamed her a bit. Dawn wrote the rule book on Tillicum. She almost literally wrote the rules on Tillicum. And Dawn never broke rules.
And they had a whole.
If she wrote the book and she never broke she wrote the book essentially, and she never broke the rules, then Dawn was following the rules. She never broke the rules. Dawn was an exceptional human being in so many ways.
So she could have done everything perfectly and still got killed.
Sure.
And that might have been what
But
happened.
there's a thing in the animal industry, which I told you about 3 podcasts ago, where if something happens to you, you did something wrong, which I do not believe is true.
It's like the Exxon
Things
Mobil
can just happen to you.
or Exxon Valdez situation.
Yeah, the tiger can go tiger.
Yeah. But they potentially.
But you chose to work with these animals, and so you might die. So in a way, it's always on you.
It's always
That's the
tragic,
thinking.
right?
It's always tragic, of course.
But wow. So I don't think I knew that you knew her because we've talked about this when Blackfish came out. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that you were like friends.
I was very close with Dawn.
Yeah.
We knew her very close.
So you had just stopped training when that happened? Or were you still training in San Diego? at
No,
that
I
point?
left. So it was 2 years later.
Okay. So
I left Orlando 2 years later. She died, essentially. I
So-
went back for the funeral. I mean, everything.
How many people have died doing that job? Very few?
3.
3 people.
Yeah. A Vancouver trainer, Dawn, and a Canary Islands trainer with one of the SeaWorld whales.
All with orcas.
Yeah.
All SeaWorld.
No. The Vancouver one. No. One at SeaWorld.
Okay. 1 SeaWorld, 2 were just random other, but similar situations.
Yeah.
Basically
Similar.
the zoo for
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, my
No,
friend.
it's okay. I don't know everything, and I will never go ask the trainers that were there, even though I was the best man in one of their weddings. What happened, because they all had PTSD, all of them. They saw some horrible things that day, and it'll affect them for the rest of their lives. And so I'll never ask them what happened.
Mhm. But did you?
And you don't know what to believe on what happened that day.
Were you ever pulled down?
No.
Never did one grab you and do something
No.
fishy to you.
Mm-mm.
So you never had any negative experiences with the whales like that.
No. No, I never had a scary experience. I had weird things happen. I never had a scary experience.
You never had something where you're like, is he trying to do something weird to me?
I'll tell you a story, and I did this in a video like 2 years ago. Okay. I did a thing where I'm swimming with a whale, and you usually let the whale come up and you wave, and then the whale's tail flukes come up and wave. Well, instead of after the behavior, the whale was waving with its tail. Instead of letting the whale come up, I decided to swim down and meet the whale underwater, get on her back, and then go to slide out. But that usually the whale comes up and takes a breath, and then you do your little show thing, and then you come out. Well, I decided to swim down to her. And so I'm swimming down.
You mixed up the program.
I mixed it up on her, which variability is this important, good thing to do. Well, it is, but it ain't always. So I swim down to her, and you can see this in the video. I have a video of this, and she blows air on me out of her flukes, and she hits me with her air.
Is it powerful?
It felt like I got hit in the chest with a punch. It just goes boom, and I just felt it. And then I get on her back, right? You kind of hold on to her nose, and then she takes you to slide out. I'm 99% sure she was not terribly pleased that I did not let her take a breath in between the 2 behaviors.
Hence the blowing
Guess
air
who
at you?
told me? Guess who told me that? Dawn. I went to the side. I said, "Watch this." It was
So
very
did she
strange.
school you a lot in the whole business?
Yes, she was
a bit of a mentor.
She was and she was really a teacher at heart. Like, she would take young trainers and she would teach them, and she's told me a lot of things, but that particular incident was probably, I mean, that's nothing, right? It was with the best whale in Orlando, Katina, who's like the nicest whale.
Hopefully the pod enjoyed that little trip down memory lane. It
We'll
actually reminds me that you were in, marine mammal training, because I'm like, oh, this guy might actually know what he's talking about every now and then.
Yeah.
Because normally I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
here, that's also what makes this pod so charming. Is
I'd love to talk about killer whales in training all day long.
yeah, you love it.
I love it.
Well, so I think the takeaway is we should start looking at places in Texas where we can get that tiger for you.
That'd be cool.
You good with that?
Yeah.
You want to get some barbecue?
Yeah. All right. Love you guys.
See you guys. Like and subscribe.